We got 10 new gadgets coming to the game and a lot of balance changes. And of course, this super sweet new loading screen. Emz's second gadget is Acid Spray. When she activates this gadget, her next attack is actually 20% weaker, but it can go through walls. Keep in mind that even if you don't actually attack through the wall, the next attack will have reduced damage, so don't waste it. Also, it doesn't actually destroy the walls, it just goes through them, so keep that in mind. BB's second gadget is Extra Sticky. This makes it so that her next super will slow down any enemy that it hits for 2 seconds. Now, if an enemy gets hit more than once, the 2 seconds will restart, so it's possible to slow enemies for longer than 2 seconds, but it doesn't actually stack. Another thing to remember is that you can't actually activate this gadget after her super is already fired. Grom's second gadget is Radio Check. For his next attack, he quickly throws 3 bombs instead of just 1, which can be devastating to whoever gets hit by it. All 3 of the bombs are just like his regular attacks, which means that they don't actually deal any less damage, and they actually do get added damage from his X Factor star power, which means that that might actually be a pretty good build to consider. Byron's next gadget is Booster Shots. For his next attack, he fires 3 shots in a fan shape rather than just 1. However, each projectile deals 20% less damage than a regular attack does, and if it hits a friendly brawler, it will heal for 40% less. So you don't want to use this in single target situations unless they're up close enough that they can get hit by multiple projectiles, and in that case, that's either going to be a lot of damage or a lot of healing. Also, just to mention that these projectiles do not go through targets even if Byron's injection star power is equipped. Squeak's second gadget is Residue. His next attack will illuminate the bushes that are in the Blom's radius for 15 seconds. I think the coolest thing about this gadget is that it actually works against Leon's super and Sandy's super. Basically, whoever steps into the residue will be visible no matter what, which makes him a great counter for a lot of brawlers that are trying to focus on just hiding in bushes or using supers like Leon and Sandy. Colette's new gadget is Gotcha. When she activates this gadget, every shot that she hits for the next 5 seconds will heal her for 80% of the damage that is dealt. As an example, if she hit a brawler for 2,000 damage, she recovers for 1,600 health. And also this slightly increases the damage that her attack deals to special targets for those 5 seconds as well. Belle's new gadget is Reverse Polarity. This makes it so that Belle's next attack will bounce off of walls, just like Rico's attacks or Colonel Ruff's attacks do. If it does bounce off of even just one wall, the range is more than doubled in length, which is honestly just crazy. The range doesn't actually increase anymore with additional bounces, but it can still bounce off multiple times, and this is going to help it cover a lot of area. Or you can just bounce it off of one wall to get insane range. Ash's new gadget is Rotten Banana. This gadget is pretty much like the opposite of what his first gadget does. Instead of taking rage away to add health, this gadget takes away health to add a rage. Specifically, it takes away 20% of his current health, and he instantly receives 50% rage. If Ash is at full HP, then he'll take a lot of damage using this gadget, but he'll take almost no damage if he's low on health when you activate this gadget, and this gadget will never actually kill him because it's 20% of his remaining health. Lola's new gadget is Stunt Double. When Lola has her ego on the field, she can activate this gadget to instantly switch places with it. On top of that, it will also heal herself and her ego 350 health upon switching. Now, this gadget does have a maximum range of 12 tiles, and if Lola is more than 12 tiles away from her ego, she cannot activate this gadget. Fang's new second gadget is Roundhouse Kick. When he uses this gadget, he spins around and hits all nearby enemies with a roundhouse kick that stuns each of them for 1 second, and it does not deal any damage to them. Now, Fang can continue moving while using this gadget, so if he's chasing somebody down, that can actually be incredibly useful, and it's also going to be really great for stealing the ball in Brawl Ball. I love their gadgets, and honestly, I think all of these are going to be really fun to use. I'm considering making a video for the best build for all the brawlers that now have these 10 gadgets, so let me know if you guys would like to see that. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss it. Now let's talk about balance changes. Mr. P is getting a lot of different reworks. His handle with Kairos star power is now going to just be part of his baseline kit. That means that his attack range will always be extended at every single level. His new handle with Kairos star power is going to add 40% damage to Mr. P's main attack, but only when it explodes and only every 4 seconds. This works a lot like Sprout's Overgrowth star power and Byron's injection star power. Now his revolving door is also being completely reworked. It will now just spawn porters that have 20% more HP and deal 30% more damage than his regular porters do. Honestly, Mr. P hasn't been very good for a while, and I'm excited to see how he's going to be after this update. He's obviously going to be better, but there's a chance that he might actually end up being too strong if you ask me. Brock is also getting a solid rework. His incendiary star power is now just going to be part of his normal build, meaning that the rockets that he fires will just put fire on the ground with every attack at every level. Now his incendiary star power is going to be replaced with his more rockets star power. This makes it so that his fire supers 44% more rockets. Without this star power, his super fires 9 rockets, and with this star power, it will fire 13. but they'll all be fired within the same amount of time that he normally fires 9. Honestly, I think this buff is definitely going to make rocket number 4 a more appealing star power, but this more rocket star power might actually be my go-to choice. 4 rockets from a super at max level is 6,000 added damage, which is actually really insane. It's going to be especially good against targets that don't move, like a heist turret or a siege turret, except that siege is gone now, which is sad. Either way though, I'm really excited to see how strong Brock is going to be with these changes. Jackie is getting a buff to her Hardy Hard Hat star power. The damage it reduces is going from 15% damage reduction all the way up to 20% damage reduction. That's a pretty sizable buff to the star power, and I don't think it's going to make Jackie like crazy strong or anything like that, but it will make her Hardy Hard Hat star power a little bit more enticing compared to Counter Crush. B is getting a buff to her Honeycomb star power. It will now shield 30% of all damage dealt to her while supercharged instead of the normal 20%. Honestly, B has some of the lowest health in the game, and this star power just wasn't strong enough to make that much of a difference. A 10% buff is actually really big, but still, once again, she has low HP, so I'm interested to see if this is going to actually be very useful or not. Gale is getting a buff to his Blustery Blow star power. Enemies that are pushed into a wall with his super will now be stunned for 1.5 seconds instead of the normal 1 second. Half a second longer honestly doesn't sound like very much, but I absolutely think this is going to make his Blustery Blow star power a much stronger one. I think his Freezing Snow star power is still going to be my go-to choice on most maps, but there will be some maps where I think Blustery Blow will be better. Griff is getting an 18% buff to his attack damage, which honestly is just crazy strong. At max level, the damage of one projectile is increasing from 330 to 390, which means that one full ammo will deal 3,510 damage. That's just as much damage as Pam can deal with a single ammo, and on top of that, Griff is now able to 3-shot every single brawler in the game if every coin hits. It's obviously going to be really difficult to do that, but I'm just showing you guys that this buff is actually insane. Colonel Ruffs is getting a 12% buff to his main attack, which is also a very big buff. At max level, the damage is increasing from 750 damage to 840 damage per shot, and that means that he'll be able to 3-shot exactly half of the brawlers that are currently in the game. Colonel Ruffs is obviously a support brawler, but it's kind of felt like he's been a little too reliant on his teammates, and also has only just worked on certain maps and with different strategies. I think this buff is absolutely going to be able to help him be a lot stronger in 1v1 situations and might make him a little bit too strong. Max is getting a 13% buff to her attack. At max level, each projectile is going from 450 damage to 510 damage. That means that with just one ammo, she'll now be able to deal 2,040 damage, which is enough to 3-shot 41 of the 54 brawlers in the game. Honestly, people just don't pick Max nearly as often before this buff, and I think that this is going to be a really strong buff. And there's a good chance that she might be a little bit too strong, so keep an eye out for her. Grom is getting nerfed, but he's also kind of getting buffed. His projectile speed will now hit the ground at the same speed no matter how far away he throws his bombs. So aiming close to him means that the bombs won't immediately hit the ground. They will go into the air and hover for a little bit before landing. But now his projectiles will hit the ground at max range sooner than they did before this change. So he's honestly going to be even better than he was at long range, but he's going to be very vulnerable at close range. Additionally, his explosion radius for his super is being reduced by 2 2/3 tiles. This is a big nerf to his super, but I absolutely think it's necessary because Grom's super it was so big, and honestly, it still is very big, and I think it's still going to be very strong. Now, there's also a bug fix with Grom's super where he wasn't charging in 6 hits because of the way his star power actually increases charging rate. So his super will now effectively only charge with 6 hits. Now, Grom got a lot of changes, but honestly, I actually think he's going to be stronger after this update because his attacks will land faster at longer ranges. But it's at least going to be easier to counter him at close range because it takes a while for those attacks to actually hit when you're close to him. Terra is getting a 5% nerf to her attack damage, and that's honestly not a very big nerf. At max level, each card's damage is decreasing from 690 to 660 damage, and that means that one ammo will only deal 1,980 damage if all 3 cards hit. That's still a lot of damage, and this wasn't a huge nerf like I said, so I think the Terra will still be useful. She's just not going to be as obvious of a choice as she was before. Next is Daryl, who's getting a significant nerf to his shield while he is rolling. The damage that he takes while rolling is being reduced from 90% damage reduction down to 50% damage reduction. Now, his still hoop star power is staying exactly the same. This change is only impacting the shield that he has while he is rolling. And honestly, I think a lot of people saw this change coming because this shield was what was keeping him in the S tier. Daryl's still going to be a good brawler, but I could see this nerf taking him out of the S tier and bringing him down to about the A tier. The health gear is getting a total rework. Before this change, the health gear just allowed brawlers to heal while they're standing still, and now it's just going to increase the amount of health that the brawlers will naturally recover. A brawler will heal 30% faster at level 1, 40% faster faster at level 2 and 50% faster at level 3. And keep in mind that this is not like Tick's well-oiled star power where it shortens the amount of time that it takes for you to start healing. It's just going to increase the amount of health that you would recover every second that your brawler is actually healing. That means that this gear is going to be much better on tankier brawlers who heal more and less useful on brawlers with low HP who heal less. Now you guys all know that I want a lot more changes to gears, but honestly, this is a great start since the last gear was it just felt weird to use. And that is everything I'm able to show you guys in this Brawl Stars sneak peek. There's still a lot that I can't show you, so make sure you guys subscribe for more Brawl Stars sneak peeks. And also, I want to know what you guys thought about this video and if there's a specific gadget that is coming to the game that you're really excited to unlock. I'd also appreciate you guys using code Kairos in the Brawl Stars shop to help support videos like this. And for now, this is KairosTime ticking by, and we will see you in Brawl Stars.